Hey there. So I've been getting into IFS and it's been helping me shift the way I'm seeing the world. Really fascinating stuff. Hope you're enjoying sort of what I'm learning, and if you were there in the workshop, you got to see a little bit more of what I learned. And if you weren't, then this video is for you because I'm going to just recap some basic uh, things that I think people took away, and we'll go from there. So, for these takeaways from the workshop, there were three things that I just briefly wanted to touch on. Two were related to journaling in general, and I'll start there. So, there's different types of journaling, and that was part of the workshop, but just journaling in general, any type of journaling, whether it's journaling to your inner child or these parts, or whether it's journaling before you eat to just notice your hunger. We'll talk about that stuff a little bit later. But journaling in general, two things came up. And the first one was, you know, should I? Like, or rather, sorry, I know I should, the should. Like, I know I should, right? I know I should do journaling. I know I should do this. I think that was a major thing that kind of came up. Like, I already know that I should journal. So, like, but I don't. Okay, so that was one. And the other one was, like, I don't stick with it. I can journal for a few weeks. I've done it before, but I always stop. And so, for that second one, it'll tie into the third point. So let me just start with the first, the should. You already know you should journal, but you're not. And so, like, what was something that occurred in the workshop, was this relationship to doubt, was this relationship to skepticism. We're here to doubt. We're here to invite the doubt in. We're here to listen to the doubt. And right away, I hope this is a little bit different than sort of maybe other approaches where they try to drown out the doubt. We want to let the doubt in. We want to engage with the doubt, and that's something that we'll talk about a little bit later. Is that we can learn to dialogue with our emotions. We can learn to talk to them, and we can learn to listen to them, and actually have a real conversation like you're talking to a person. And so that's just one thing that comes up right away, is that we're here to invite the doubt in. We're actually here to just test these journaling methods out firsthand to see if they work. This is to see if they work from an emotional perspective, not from a weight loss perspective, but rather, does journaling in these methods actually help you feel more calm? Does it help you sort of make sense or process this internal world? Does it help you, if you're flailing and your hands are up and you kind of don't know where to turn, does following these simple methods actually help you emotionally kind of get clear, get grounded, see straight, I guess. So that's kind of the conversation. One of the conversations that was around should you journal? Rather, if you know you should journal, like, how do you sort of wrap your mind around journaling when you already know you should? And I think exploring those doubts, just giving it a test, just trying it one time. These are important, right? We don't want to make the doubt go away, but instead we want to really listen to the doubt, which is something we'll talk about in a little bit. But, like, I think when you test things out, right? When you test these methods out and you see right away, like, oh, this makes a lot of sense. This feels good. This feels good. It kind of gives that doubting part of your brain some real experience, right? Some real experience that can hopefully give it the confidence it needs to move, or to let go, to let you move forward a little bit. And you can already tell, like, we're talking about emotions as if they're people, parts, or like the doubt letting go. That's kind of, we're personifying this. So anyways, that comes back to I keep on hinting at this other thing, but we'll get there. The other point was, if you are journaling, or like, again, kind of a variation of doubt, but like this idea that, oh, I could journal, but then I would stop journaling in a few months, or a week, or whatever. I would stop journaling and I wouldn't get the benefits. The conversation that flowed from there, and it seemed to resonate, was sort of this notion, an admission, I guess, on my part, which is that when we talk about journaling, the first method of journaling, there's two methods. This first method is very, very familiar. I talk about it a lot. Journal before you eat, right? Journal your food, and it's going to help you process things. And everyone agrees. It makes sense, right? I mean, you journal before you eat. You pause. You write, and you're going to make a better food decision. So that's not the problem. It makes sense, right? But given that it makes sense, why won't you stick with it? Why do this for only a few weeks when you know that real long-term gains are on the other side of a few weeks, a few months? And the answer to that, or at least what comes up for me, is that this method of journaling, this right before you eat, it is temporary. It is like a butterfly, how it's in a cocoon, and then the cocoon goes away and the butterfly can fly. This first step of journaling before you eat, writing your emotions down, this is for developing the stability in your body and mind, so that you can meditate, so that you can look inward. The second part of journaling, in a nutshell, is dialoguing, connecting to these inner parts, to these inner childs that we all have. And to do that, you kind of need to be able to look inside yourself. You need to have some training where you're looking inside yourself. If you think of like muddy water, or if you like water, like a bucket of water, and if the water is all swirled up and you look in it, you aren't going to be able to see a clear reflection. So we want, before we start journaling style 2, we kind of need to embrace a little bit of discipline of this first method of journaling based on cognitive behavioral therapy, where you're feeling your body, writing down your emotions, you're practicing the impulse control, practicing sorting out your emotions, learning to tolerate, getting the vocabulary for emotions. You're studying your food patterns, and basically you want to be eating regularly. The journal entries will reflect that. You'll quickly see if you're binging after a long time of not eating. You'll quickly see that pattern, and you'll have a little bit more insight into your eating behaviors, and you'll eat a bit better just naturally. You'll notice your hunger levels. Those will start to even out a bit more. You'll basically be more on an even keel, right? Just by practicing this journaling before you eat for like a couple weeks or a month. And that's the step 1, all right? So hopefully we've answered the first 2 questions that really came up, which were, or at least started talking about them. Should you journal, or why aren't I journaling if I know I should? Well, we gotta test it out. We gotta invite the doubt. Does this make sense? Does this feel good? And the second style of journaling, the second problem was that, why journal if I'm going to quit in a few weeks? And it's very important to know that this first method, you are going to quit in a few weeks. You are going to quit in a few weeks. It's boring. It's dry. You like a cocoon, it's temporary. So you have to kind of get through this period. But when you get into the second method of journaling, this is where the connection happens more so. When you're connecting to this inner child, you're really, it's like you're writing a movie script even. Or it's not even journaling about food anymore. Like, that style of journaling is gone. You have the inner vision, you're stable, the binges are less. Now you're ready to much more write out dialogues with the inner child. Much more just writing love letters almost to the inner child. Much more not only this inner child, but these different parts, multiple inner children, and so we'll get to that in a little bit. But basically, this is how journaling is different, and you know, that first method of journaling, the food stuff. You know, you're not meant. The intention is not for you to journal about food for the rest of your life. The intention is not to journal about food for the rest of your life. Okay, that's important because you'll quit. No one can stick with journaling about food for the rest of their life. It works. It's effective for a little bit, but you'll quit. Yeah, we know that. That's to be expected. That's to be expected. That whole journaling discipline is to get you the inner minds, the ability to look inward, right? And once you can look inward, that's when journaling hopefully becomes more fun, something really different, where you're giving voice to these kids in you, these kids who are really trying to protect you, really carrying heavy burdens, where they've been fearful of each other, these other psychodynamics that are also children in you. The kids have been fearful, they've been scattered, and they just need to be seen, they need to be listened to, they need to be understood, they need to be befriended. You know, you have this internal system of inner children, right? And this method of journaling is about connecting with them, right? It's about talking to them and putting those conversations out on paper and processing it, and it's way different than anything else you've done before. And this is ultimately, you know, why you'll stick with journaling. And guess what? You know, you're not even going to stick with journaling this way. It's a cast. Like, once you get connected to your inner children, you can kind of go through your everyday life. It's a cast that you take off. Sorry for that short analogy. It's a cast that you take off. Every method of journaling is to get you to a certain point where you no longer need that method of journaling, right? It's even that second style of journaling. It's just to get you connected to these parts, and then you can let go of journaling, you know? So you're not meant to stick with journaling forever. So I hope this video just really talks about those two common things that come up, right? You know, if you know you should, why aren't you? And then if you like, why journal if you're going to quit? And hopefully when you see this end goal, that really the end goal is to get you connected to this inner world of yours. And then that's the end goal, right? That's the end goal. Getting connected to the inner world. That's the end goal. Getting connected to these different parts and literally talking to them and being able to interact with them. You know, that's kind of advanced. Having that inner vision to look inwards and to sort out these emotions, that's tough stuff. You do need to journal a bit to get there, especially if you're not there yet. And once you're there, then you kind of need to probably journal and dialogue and go through some parts work and some inner child work and have some, you know, messiness come up, and then you're on the other side. Then finally, you're sort of like, the whole world when you're binging is just, it's like backwards. It's just something isn't right, or there's this missing piece, and when you finally flip it all around and you now have these connection to these parts, this piece is here, and you don't need to journal. Right? So, you know, why journal if you're just going to quit? Well, you know, if you have an end goal where you're going to quit after 2 months, I think that's a lot more reasonable than the rest of your life, or you're going to quit after 3 months. You know, you're going to quit after 3 months. Don't get me wrong. No one really sticks with journaling longer than a few months. Just doing the food journaling. People continue to journal about their parts for the rest of their lives. That stuff is fun. That stuff is connection. And then, you know, whether you should do journaling, well, hopefully you see that this is different. This is leading to a different place, and you don't have to do it, right? I mean, you know, see if it feels good. Invite the doubt in too, because that second style of journaling where we dialogue with these different parts, well, guess what? Doubt is a part. It's a kid. It's a kid in you who, you know, has been working real hard and has some concerns, and normally those concerns aren't addressed. Normally we aren't sure how to connect to this doubt that lives within us like its own person. We aren't able to listen to this person. That second style of journaling actually invites that doubt in. Invites, like, hey, doubt, what do you want me to know? How are you trying to protect me? You can. Anyways, so I will go into these two other methods of journaling in a separate video, but I just want to address those main 2 points about should and sticking with it. So if you have any questions, let me know. And again, namaste. Okay.